So thank you guys for taking the time to join me. I know this has been kind of a long time in the making, and I'm excited to finally have the opportunity to get you guys together and just visit. So there's no formal format on this other than for you guys to act like the Mossbacks that you are. So,
Thank
Bobby,
you for setting this up, Alex. This is
Yeah.
phenomenal. Great.
Yeah.
I've really been looking forward to it, and as you know, I've done a couple with Bobby already and one with Jack Jones, and it's been a blast. I'm loving getting the history is one thing. I'm loving hearing that, but getting to visit with you guys, and we haven't, Pat, you
Yes.
and I live 30 minutes away from each other, but we don't get to see each other as
We
much
don't
as
get
we'd
to, yeah,
like.
at all. Both busy going different directions.
Absolutely. So, thank you guys for joining today. Does anybody have any stories that they want to start with? Bobby and I started chronologically with his career, but I'd kind of like you guys to jump in somewhere in the middle. Chris, when was the first time you met Bobby Long?
Bobby Long and I met July of 1976,
Seven.
1977. We tested together at the academy. We sat next to each other, and I got to meet him and Gail. And
Yeah.
I think Bobby, on that particular day, there was about probably that auditorium was full of people that tested
Yeah.
that day. And I think you and I were just a few of the only ones that made it through that group to move
I
on to
think
the next phase.
there was like four, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So we met then and we went through recruit school and our careers paralleled each other all the way to retirement.
Yeah.
And which recruit school was that?
35th, we got commissioned January 1st, 1978.
Yeah.
Very good. I was 7.
I have a pair of boots as old as you.
Right. And
Yeah. I know.
how about you, Pat?
I met Chris. He was an instructor, came in for, I want to say, officer survival. I think he showed up a couple times before that. And Chris came in and he was glow in the dark shiny. His leather, his brass, you could cut your finger on a crease on his uniform. And it's like, do you just stand in the closet, just like pretty, and then you come out of the closet? And he's like, how do you stay sharp like that? And but he did. He maintained that every time he came in front of us. He was absolutely sharp. He came a great instructor. He did a great job for all the recruits.
Oh, yeah.
He gave himself 110% to the class, and he had nothing to prove. He just wanted to make you the best you could be, and he wanted you to be worthy of his state police. And if you were going to join his agency, you were going to be worthy of his state police, and that was in his heart. Um, Bobby, I met him. It was just before our graduation. Bobby came in to see Bill Holder. Bill Holder was our last. He was our graduation duty sergeant. Get us ready to march. And Bobby was getting taken on the SWAT team at that point. And I think he was coming to headquarters to get his gear or to meet with Holder and get squared away on the team.
Yeah.
And that's he didn't we didn't get to meet. I got to see him in the hallway talking to Holder, and it's like I want on that team. I, I want
It,
to do that.
it wasn't much gear, trust me.
It was, yeah, a pair of socks and a
I,
couple,
it,
some MREs. Take some C rashes. Take this. Put it in your car. Good luck.
he, yeah. And give me out of his own
Yep.
stack. Yeah. I think, let me see, back then we had that old blue. It was almost like flak vest,
Hmm.
uh, body armor. But God, it was hot and uncomfortable.
Put
Didn't
that
fit
ceramic tile in it too. That,
Yep.
well. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, the 3/4 to 1 inch ceramic tile.
At least it wasn't heavy, right?
Right.
10 pounds. You
I
know.
don't know if you all have had an opportunity to touch any of the composite plates that they're using nowadays. they feel fake when you pick them up.
Yeah.
First of all, they're much thinner, but when you pick it up, it feels almost like a piece of foam. They're so ridiculously light now.
Yeah.
Oh well, no,
So,
I take all the fun out of it.
well, of course, right? You don't have anything to gripe about. Just pausing real quick, Pat. Make sure that you're centered in the screen. We got your face in the center. We want to see your pretty face there. So, excellent.
Got to move
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. Wait. Let me get a new one.
So, how
Too
about you,
late.
This one's
Mark?
been run over.
How about you, Mark?
Oh my gosh. You guys probably don't know this, but I mean, I met Chris Mays before I was a state cop. And I don't know if you remember that, but remember a lady by the name of Elaine at State Employees Credit Union?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
years ago, I mean, yeah, I was, yeah, a wannabe back then. And knew you were on state police. And I think we met a time or two, but I definitely remember your name from back then, but can't remember, when we met exactly. But I know that probably my most fond memory of you, and you'll probably remember this, when you just got to Espanola as the captain, and I had my orders to go to Los Lunas, and you called me into your office and said, "You sure you don't want to work for the best captain in the state before you leave?" And I said, "Sir, I enjoy working in Espanola, but kind of like to get back to Albuquerque." And you cut me loose, and yeah, the rest is history. Uh, Bobby, um, I want to say it was probably like on a mission that the TAC team had up in Espanola, and I think they let me participate to some degree, and knew that's what I wanted to do, right out of the gate when I met Bobby and the team. And I didn't know Bobby was going to be so rough on me, but it is what it is. and and Pat, probably headquarters Santa Fe, maybe. Can't recall exactly when we met. I know we didn't have a whole lot of interaction together, but definitely consider you a friend.
Likewise, it's an honor.
I met
Same
Pat
here.
Wood when he went to District 7 as a rookie, and that forged the rest of these days up to this point. So,
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm sensing something
Pat,
that's kind of common with everybody here. Pat, the first time I met you was in my recruit class, the very first day. You weren't the captain over the training academy yet, but you were soon to be. So they brought you in and introduced you to us. And just like you described Chris, my memory was you were wearing a night jacket and you came in, and I couldn't say it out loud, but my thought was, holy crap, that guy looks like Sergeant Rock. So I was immediately impressed. And then, of course, it was maybe a month or two. It might have been 4 weeks before you came in and took over the recruit class. So that was my first time meeting you. And then, of course, fast forward to several years later, you were my district commander. But my first district commander was you, Chris. And I remember
I remember you.
I remember showing up that first day and telling you I was stationed in Penasco. And I think you asked me if I even knew where that was. And I said, no, I don't, but I'm going to find it. And you gave me the rundown of how things run in that district. What I do remember of it is do your job and don't F up, and I'll take care of you. And if you do, then I'll handle it myself. That was the extremely cleaned up version, by the way. But I did appreciate that guidance. And Bobby, you were for a while just the Sasquatch in state police. I remembered hearing about you, but I never did see you until later on. And then it just scared the hell out of me until you retired. But it was always a pleasure working with each and every one of you. And I do sincerely, I've always looked up to you guys, which is also why I'm bringing you onto this podcast because you know the name of it, Hondo's Heroes and Friends, and I've always looked up to you guys and tried to mold myself in your image, and I do appreciate all that.
Well,
You know, it's an honor to be part of your trajectory, and remembering you and your class was my very first in the academy, and it was, you know, not taking anything away from anybody. It was a class of studs. Maybe the impact was just because you were my very first one, but it was a very impressive group, and I couldn't have been more proud.
That was the most fun thing I've ever done that I never want to do again.
Yeah, we made sure of that.
uh, Chris, did you run the training academy for a while?
I did my last 2 years, 98 to 2000. I got pulled up from Socorro to run the academy. I had taught at the academy for about 12 years before that. I started in 1980 training with I might interject here a little bit because I listened to Jack Jones's podcast last night and I told him I'd fill in some of the blanks. In 1980, right before that, Richard Gomez had gotten shot up in Guyana. We had been at the state pen together, and soon after we departed ways there, he got killed up in Guyana. And I made it a mission of mine to institute and start some kind of officer survival training because the classes that they taught Bobby and I, they took you out on the track and showed you a gun and they showed you how to do a felony stop and use your loudest voice possible, but they didn't teach you how to survive. And I might add, we started that. We did a 5-day class in 48 hours. Nobody slept, nobody re-ate, and they got to go to the bathroom, but we did everything there in the headquarters parking lot.
yeah,
As due time came along and Dennis Wilson and Jack Jones were getting that program together going in 1980, 1981, 1982, they were, as he said, validating the training.
yeah,
And so Robbie Kuhn and Mac McKinney, there was a couple other guys from the TAC team that wanted to join in and they buddied up with us and we started the program that they have today with the blessing of DOE and Jack Jones. They were able to get the training going. It was all live fire. It was balls to the wall. It was the most awesome training we ever had. And after that, I don't believe any of our officers ever lost their lives in the line of duty. All of you guys are still here to talk about it. So that's where that all started. And with DOE not being there, I don't know where the department would be today as far as training. I know we do train the best officers in the world.
yeah. The training, officer survival training, like you said, we didn't lose anybody that went through that training uh, after that. After they kind of did away with that, that's when we started losing them. Because the officer survival training, I'm not sure, is as robust and I guess downright nitty gritty as what it used to be. Just what I'm hearing. But I hope,
That's
I
that's an
hope
important part.
they're doing, you know,
Well,
because,
I'm going to make it part of my mission, Bobby, to get out to one of those trainings during the academy when we're doing our mentoring and make sure I will validate that for you and see that they're doing that.
It's been
well,
For
nice.
those of you that don't know, I've gotten myself on the DPS PSAC on the commission, so I keep my fingers right in the middle of everything that's going on.
I
So,
didn't.
good,
yep,
That's great.
good.
Good. Glad to hear it, Chris.
yep.
Yeah,
Greg Richardson's on there, Darren Hawley, and Jenny Pierce. So we got a
okay.
good group.
Awesome.
We
It's a
Fantastic.
good.
very
We
good group.
we
Solid.
rolled in on a Trojan horse. So,
You'll,
Excellent.
you'll be able to work out any deficiencies in there. Officer,
absolutely, yep, yep.
One thing I don't think the state police should ever be away from is the high stress academy. There's a time and place for academics. There always has been. There always should be. But there's also a real place for high stress and to practice as you're going to perform. And until you stress them recruits, you don't know how they're going to respond, and nor do they. And that's the difference between life and death, and good judgment and bad mistakes. And you don't know it until you put them under that stress. And I really, in my heart of hearts, believe that that's one of the great advantages in Mexico State Police is its high stress academy, and putting people through the paces.
I've had the
Yeah.
opportunity to go and mentor, and they do a couple of those duty, the training officers up there. There was a couple of times when I was up there that they started hollering and yelling at him and thrashing him, and I took off downstairs and went into the classroom because I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. But they do, they still do smoke them, and they still do. It's run pretty good. I gave him an A. Didn't give him an A
Awesome.
plus, but I gave him an A.
Yeah,
Well,
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
it
it's
really
good.
is.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's a big component, I think, of like Officer Survival Week is not just the physical skills, being able to shoot and fight and run around and jump around, but also the mental part of it is being able to deal with that high stress, making decisions under stress, and then making good decisions under stress. That's the
Agreed.
biggest part. Yeah, you can make decisions, but panic decisions very rarely go well.
Hmm.
Well,
Agreed.
plus the fatigue factor because, you know, you're working them night and day, um, still doing that. Because, I mean, back when we were running those officer survival classes at the CTA, you know, they started on range at, they were in class ready to go at 08, and usually on the range getting live fire by 08:15 and not getting out, shoot, 01 or 02.
Hmm.
So having to go through, you know, 6 training, the fatigue factor, and they were doing that for 2 weeks, um, plus the stress, and we were really throwing, you know, which is kind of like do something to do the stress and decision making. So they see it in real life later on down.
As I look around this group here, the caveat to that is look at what the stress has done to us. The hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
no
all
kidding.
beat up. I just had a right shoulder total replacement with 2 dislocations in between. But I'm here to 2 knees and a hip and a shoulder. So we're talking
Well,
about stress.
ain't none of us no spring chickens, you
No,
know.
no.
Hey, hey, I'm feeling pretty clucky, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Mm.
you're all upright, and I'm able to talk to all of you, so
Yeah,
that's
Plus,
for the
great.
most part.
is the
So,
butt.
just going to throw a question out there for each of you, and anybody can jump in first if you want to. Is who is the most memorable state police officer to you? When I say state police, who do you think of?
Fred Caldwell and J.D. Mays.
Uh,
Bill
Fred,
Holder,
Fred Caldwell, Bill Holder, Tim Sharp.
Tim
Tim
Sharp, Bill
Sharp.
Holder. I met Tim Sharp before I was a state policeman. He pulled me over. I was doing about 100 miles an hour coming back from welding school from Roswell. I lived in Las Cruces, driving I think it was a 1970 blue Impala, and had long hair, had a great big beard. I looked like I was a runaway from ZZ Top. And I was coming through the Apple Valley. Tim was stationed up there in Ruidoso, and a young man about 20 years old, had long hair and a beard, driving a 70 Chevy Impala, had just shotgunned his parents to death in Roswell. He was traveling at a high speed across the mountains, headed toward California. I met the description exactly. Tim, and I topped the hill. There was Tim. He he swung around, hit the reds, pulled me over, and I sucked asphalt for about 30 minutes with his shotgun in the back of my head while he was sorting it out. And it was in the middle of summertime, and I still got blisters on my face from sucking asphalt and having Tim's 12 gauge screwed into the back of my head while he figured out that I was not guilty of killing my parents. And fast forward a year or two after that, I'm in the state police recruit school, and here comes the drivers, and here comes Tim Sharp, and I have a clean cut, no hair on my head. I look like an onion standing next to 30 other onions out on that driving track. He walks straight up to me and says, "Do you remember me?" Yes, sir, I do. He said, "Well, I remember you too."
That's about right.
Yeah, Tim Sharp and Bill Holder for me.
Tim Sharp was, he claims to be my dad. Still looking for my mom, I guess, but Tim was an influence. That guy was, he kept us straight and kept us in line, and he's definitely like a dad for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it was.
yeah. The most interesting expression on Tim's face was he was on the team, you know, for years and years and years. And actually, he ran the team. He was the commander for, I don't know what, maybe 8 months, a
Something
year.
like that.
Yeah. And we were, hell, it was on it was either over in Gallup or the 87 pin escape. And we were at a meeting one night, and Tim was like, he hands me this letter, and it's his letter of resignation from the team going to the chief's office. And I go, "You're not serious, you know?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "My body hurts too much." And I says, "No, it don't." And I just tore it up in about 50 pieces. I said, and he's just like, "That's the only one I have." Like, so you're not turning. I I thought he wanted to actually clock me, but he he said, "You are a turd." You know? So here I am, just a team leader, and I wouldn't let him resign. It's like, no, you're not giving up yet. But he did his time honorably.
Oh, he did absolutely.
Yep.
He was team leader for Bobby and I on our team,
Yeah.
and I tell you what, yeah, he was a rock, absolute rock.
Oh
And
man.
I would be remiss, Bobby, if I didn't put you in that group of men that I look up to. You taught me a lot. You may not know it, but I always wanted to shoot like you and be like you. Not everything, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to be as tall as you. But you showed me a lot, and I always admired the way you continued to be perfect in everything that you did. You shot well, you ran well, you led well. It was just awesome to work next to you.
Well,
And
my
we won't cry during this session, okay?
yeah, my tenure was basically a conglomerate of all of your guys' teachings and followings. Because, you know, I didn't make this crap up on my own. I learned it from all of my predecessors. So, you know, um, just, I mean, it was just all of you guys rolled up into one. And that's kind of where I got all my crap from.
One of you
Yeah, we had
brought
a
up,
good run.
absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic. One of you brought
yeah.
up equipment and the way it's evolved over the years. Um, I think one thing that needs to evolve is that thermos that you got there, Bobby. That's had some hard
He's
wiring.
got like four of them.
He's-
Yeah.
that's his favorite.
Look at that thing.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I can't see which one it is because I'm over Bobby, but it's the one he had the other morning. It's pretty beat up, but it
Yeah.
held coffee.
This one's the 1980 version.
You put that thing in front of the screen, it made me lean back. I didn't know what the heck I was looking at. I knew you were a cyborg, but I didn't think any of it was exposed.
Yeah.
So
I
how
got
about you,
that
Mark?
80.
Wow, there's so many names that stand out, Alex, over the years, but I think the very first would have to be Jack Jones, because I remember at Officer Survival Week, sitting at the table in the classroom, and all of a sudden, this crazy man comes in and starts jumping up and down on the desk, and I'm looking around the room going, who is this guy? And what the hell did I get myself into? But yeah, but from there on out, I mean, it was yeah, you talk about officer survival training being the most valuable part of the academy. I mean, it you can learn all the other stuff and make mistakes and get reprimanded for it, whatever it may be. But as far as protecting your life and the lives of the lives of others is not something you can make a mistake on. And
Nope.
that was only a week for us. It wasn't 2 weeks at the time, but that week of training was, I mean, to me, and I'm sure most state police officers will say the same thing, just the most valuable week of the academy.
Yeah.
You know,
For
kept me
my,
alive on different circumstances. I mean, I can remember a call on, I was stopping to help a car on, I might have told you this story, Alex, on I-25, and helping a lady change a tire. She was going southbound, just south of Berlin, and I looked across the interstate and I saw a bunch of kids standing around a truck with the hood up. And I used to tell the story at Officer Survival. I mean, after it happened, but so I thought to myself, when I'm done with this lady, I'm going to go across the interstate and help those kids, and jumped back in my car. And as I drove by them, I'll just remember the stare that all three of them gave me, as they watched me drive by, and I'm like, oh, these guys are up to no good, and pulled in behind them. And long story short, truck had broke down. They blew the motor. Uh, you know, I ID'd all of them. Went and got the other kid that had went to walk to Walmart to go get oil for a truck that wasn't going to run, and ended up leaving there on the with them on the side of the road, because we called family to come get them. And I'm thinking to myself as I drove away that I suck, because I know they did something and I can't figure out what the hell they did. And 10 o'clock came around, end of shift, and the dispatcher called me, and the dispatcher said, "Hey, you remember those three guys on the interstate?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Those guys killed the guy in Roswell." And I'm like, "Damn it, I knew it." And yeah, the dispatcher said, "Don't worry, I'll get somebody from the graveyard shift to go down there and check it out." And I said, "I'm going to check it out, and we're taking some buddies with me," and got him in custody, no problem. But the lesson I learned, at the end of that call was, after the criminal agents interviewed those kids, and they had a plan. Their plan was to kill me, when I pulled up behind them.
yeah.
And I guess, from what they told the investigators, is that when I climbed out of the car, they looked at me and said, "Change of plans. We're not even going to attempt it." So it would have been three against one. But on the same token, I remember that training that I got in officer survival was, and I tried to impress this on all the state police officers I could, that it, life's a stage out there for you, and you need to be fit, and you need to have a command presence, and all those things kept me alive that day.
Yeah.
So important stuff. So
That's
thank you all for.
interesting you mentioned that, Mark, is after I broke in Farron Segata, sorry, Chief Segata, he was my rookie in Raton. He pulled over a vehicle one day, and after shift, I met up with him, and he told me that the guy had a 357 in the console with a hammer back. It was ready to point out the driver's side window and shoot him. And after it was all said and done, he got him 10-15. And the guy told him when Farron was interviewing him that once he got out of that car, he saw his brass saw his leather was shiny and unit was immaculate. He said, I knew was going to have a gunfight on my hands, so I opted not to draw out. So uh, all that training sure came to light. And not to forget, folks, that baby Jesus kept us all alive. So
Oh my gosh.
without his mercy and grace, I can't count the times that I shouldn't be sitting here talking to you, but was able to get out of it.
Shoot. Just a time of being almost run over. I can't tell you how many cars that I was stopped, before we started doing the extended stop right-handed approach, you know, doing the approach down the left side, standing at the driver's window. How many times I had to literally jump up on top of the hood of the car to keep from getting sandwiched in between, as oncoming traffic running 55 miles an hour passes within a foot of the car. I don't even know how the mirrors. I
The
mean,
right-handed approach.
oh yeah. So when it started, yeah, I actually went to that officer survival. I think it was the one that Jack taught extended stop right-handed approach. I mean, it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. What the heck, you know? Great tactics.
Yep.
Give the ability to move out of the way of traffic, you know, working your angles, distance. Oh yeah, perfect. So,
Yeah, we started looking at that left-handed approach in the fatal funnel, and still to
oh,
this day, I get my ire up because I still see officers out on the road, not any SP officers, but other agencies that do that left-handed approach, and I just don't get it. I guess it should be. It's probably standardized, but they're not utilizing it with common sense.
well,
That was probably the best thing all of us ever invented. So,
yeah,
And sitting in their car writing tickets too.
that
ooh,
I
ah, no,
that I sitting in their car writing tickets.
Yeah.
I
You
think
know,
that's become a lot worse.
if if they are back at their drive at the passenger side, sometimes they got their head stuck down in their car. Might as well be shoving their head in a prairie dog hole. It's like, really? Like, you know, but they'll have to learn, you know, they're going to have to learn, critique themselves.
unfortunately, the only way we learn law enforcement is when there's a tragedy. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. It is
Absolutely.
sometimes difficult
Yeah. Yeah.
to break out of our routine because it's working until it doesn't. But yeah,
until it
Yeah.
doesn't.
that was one of the things that I remember learning from the team was the no matter what we
Critique.
did, whether it was training or a call out, was we always debriefed what we did, regardless of how long or short of a call out it was. We had to make sure right then that we sat down and we figured out what worked, what didn't work, and then we could figure out later on how we were going to fix what didn't work. But we wanted to make
Right.
sure and bring it up while it was still fresh.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was always a must. Open, honest, brutal critiques, whether it's for training missions or live missions. Gotta have that. Gotta maintain it. One of the best questions I used to love asking recruit or officer survival was how many people were willing to take a life of others? You know, some people were hesitant. Some people would actually raise their hand that they were willing. You know, so make a statement defense of your life or other. Would you be able to take a life? And then some of them were still yes, some of them were maybes. So then the final question was, do you want to be here? Do you think you could have? I can remember
I'm gonna go ahead and
on
sign off in a little bit.
questions, they had people like,
Okay.
job resigned at the end of the week, which is good. At least knew. But
Hmm.
that was one of the things. And, of course, when I was at CTA and already retired doing those classes, the guys from training couldn't ask that question, but we always, and was not totally surprised at the people that would resign. We could just see it in their demeanor, the hesitancy of what they thought they were getting into. So good thing they probably left.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Good for
Not
And
them.
everybody's cut out for it.
yeah,
No.
It just isn't. I mean, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just
Absolutely.
it's not a job for everybody.
no,
It's a different calling, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Yep.
yeah. It's like I could never be a hairdresser, so I,
There goes your day job.
You could be my hairdresser, Bobby.
There's two.
I'm
Yes,
looking
indeed.
around. I might have to join that. I'm almost there.
We're all very similar in that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just bring a washcloth.
you guys just grew to the top of your hair. That's all.
They just kept
Yeah.
getting taller and taller.
Yeah.
kidding.
Pat, you just reminded me of Jerry Anderson the way you said wars.
You know, a good person to be reminded of. He's another stud.
I think
Meat gazer. Yeah.
I think I think all of us can look back and think of when we were new on the department. I know you told the story already, Bobby, and of being around a TAC team guy when you were a patrolman and being there on a tactical team mission and watching the TAC team guys work. Mark, you mentioning Jerry Anderson brought that up. Is James Fritz got into a pursuit up in Espanola, headed towards Chimayo, and I just happened to be there in Espanola at the office, so I went out there to help him. The guy shoots at James several times and then gets out and runs out into the tree line with a high power rifle. So I get out there. I've got my shotgun at the time, and so both of us, me and James, are pointing our guns at this guy, and he just sits down cross-legged with the rifle across his lap. And we proceed. I guess that was my first hostage negotiation because I wound up right in front of this guy, probably about way closer than I should have been. I was maybe 20 yards, 25 yards from him. And just as an aside to that, I always remember thinking in the academy, I wonder if I'll actually be able to see my front sight if I have to point my gun at somebody. And I remember, that bead sight was so small on that shotgun, but that guy's chest looked like it was 17 feet wide. I was thinking to myself, there is no way I'm going to miss this guy. So we kept him there talking. Jerry was probably within an hour of getting out there. So he got out there, sneaks up behind this guy out in the sticks. And I remember that you guys will all remember this. He comes sneaking up on this guy with his MP5. I can see him coming out of the tree line. So we're just talking to this guy to keep him engaged. He's got a bang hanging from his shooting hand, just hanging down by the ring on the pin, and he
Yeah,
sneaks up behind this guy, gets to about 10 feet, and the guy finally just clicked, looks over his shoulder, and stands up, and Jerry slings that rifle and then just hits him head on like a freight train. And then, of course, it was, we cuffed him very quickly after that. But
yeah.
after that, I mean, if I hadn't wanted to be on the team before that, which I did, I was sold. It was a done deal after that. That is exactly what I want to do.
Very brave man.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, there was so many times on the team throughout my career that um, that's how the scenario resolution was pretty much solved. I mean, we could have shot a truckload of adversaries um, justifiably over the years, but they would allow us to get in there, get close on them, and then we go hand in hand and thump them pretty good. But basically saving their life, you know. Of course, most of the time there was always one guy or two guys um, hands on, and then one or two uh, covering with lethal options. But I mean, just countless times to where these people should have all outright just died, you know. And but we we went hand to hand. I don't know if it was because we just didn't want to kill them, or it was more fun that way.
Times
I
have
think we were
changed,
trying to
haven't
do it.
they?
I think we were trying to do it right. It those I remember those. It's yeah. We were just if it wasn't right, we weren't going to do it, and it was it's just the right call, and we never second guessed it.
Yeah.
I learned
Oh
how
yeah.
to fight before I learned how to shoot, so I was pretty good at getting
Yeah.
the arms range. That was more fun, Bobby. Yep.
Yeah. I know. I know. Yeah. You know, it's like, and then just, you know, we saved a ton of paperwork. That's probably what we back. Oh my
True
God.
One
that.
B.
Days to the paperwork. You know, it's like, yeah, like never mind.
Bob Gardenhire loves us so much more now.
Yeah.
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 Not creating more work for them.
Saved the
Absolutely.
department a lot of money.
Oh man. A lot of money. A lot of money.
So do you, you guys came on, do you remember about how many were on the department?
Bobby, we came on, it was 374.
That's like 325. I think we had, or 350. I think we were
After the state pen riot, they'd added some troops.
right. But when we came on, it was around 350. And
I think I came on. I think 2 years after you guys, because you reached 2 years because you got done with your probation. You're
right,
joining the team on the 2 year mark, and we were graduating almost on your 2 year birthday,
yeah,
and I think we were 470 with our class, and we started 50. We graduated 25. Um, but there was I think seven of us that went up to D7 because we lost an officer up there. We just lost an officer up there, and
right.
we were going to go up and kind of get a handle on things and flood the area a little bit. And I think that's what we did.
And that was that Glenn?
Uh, no, that was
No, Richard Gomez up in Guyana.
Richard Gomez in Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
That was right after Richard was killed. He had been stationed in Guyana, and they stopped that duty post. Nobody was stationed up there after that, and then they would have us out of D7 take turns and going up there and working it for the day or working the night and being responsible for it. And it was still kind of a DMZ thing. The locals really thought that they owned it after they had killed him, and they were sniping officers coming and going. Anytime that you went into the canyons and came out of them, you were getting shot at a lot up there. And it was they kept it dicey for a little bit. And I don't know, couple. couple, 2, 3 years, we finally got a handle on it. And Manny Olivas was in my class, and he had gone. They were going to station him there. He and his family looked at 3 different houses uh, when we first got up there. We're moving up there. They looked at 3 houses one day. They had gone back to Santa Fe to talk about which one they were going to rent. That night, the locals burned down all 3 houses that they looked at.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
Every house they looked at for rent got torched that night. And so after that, there's no houses available. There was no state police. You know, it was clear no one was invited, and it was a real strong message to all the rest of the locals that we weren't going to be allowed up into the community.
Do not support
And
state police.
yeah, then Manny was transferred from there to
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Yeah, he went over to Las Vegas where he was killed. He got ran over on the highway by a drunk driver over there.
Wow.
The but it was I think 407 to answer your question when we came out.
And then, Mark, you were just a couple of years before me. We were up over 500 by then, right?
Yeah. Yeah, best of my memory, we were at least 500, somewhere around there.
We're over
I don't know what they
700
are.
now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Once they added MTD and that as well.
And STD, I mean SID.
Hmm.
So how was the Brotherhood last week?
It was the 2nd of May, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. There was a lot of younger guys showed up. It was really good to see some of the younger guys show up. Um, Mark, I'll look for you there next year. A lot of old guys. Al Mitchell, who was the oldest, he was one of the first to start the Brotherhood. He was the class of '62. He just turned 91 that
Wow.
weekend, and so it was a
That's
good time.
amazing.
It's turned into a pretty good time. Took me a lot of years to get there, though. Took me 14 years to finally unwind and figure out that it wasn't all about me and get down there, and it was a good thing that I did.
What? It's not about you. What?
Well, just
I've been wrong all these years.
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
thanks for the update. I thought it was.
Yeah, shit.
I became vulnerable. How's
All right.
Just to let you all know, I've been talking about doing this for years, but I think I'm just going to haul off and do it. Is I'd like to do a gathering out here. Uh, I'm probably going to try and get a venue to where we can all use it for a couple of days and have you all come out, and we're going to have team guys, old and new, come out to it. I'm going to have live music out there, some food vendors,
Oh, wow.
a lot of different stuff, and um, have a good
that? You have
time.
an RV park close to it?
Uh, well, we have three within about 10 minutes of here, as well as the
Okay.
venues that I'm likely to use. So, yes, it'll be a very, there won't be a lot of traveling involved once you get here, is the idea. If the family wants to take off and go do SeaWorld and that sort of thing, it's available to them. But as far as the activities going on here, everything will stay pretty close.
Sit in a chair and drink beer.
There will
Yeah.
be there will be plenty of that available.
That sounds like an awesome thing.
So
Yeah.
I'll get the messaging out early. Timing is everything out here, as Pat knows well, as far as the heat factor.
January would be good.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Because right now it's Africa hot.
yes, it's stupid hot. So yes, I'll work on that. It'll be either it's difficult at the end of the year because I know everybody has the holidays all stacked on top of each other. But I think maybe mid-January, more likely early February because shot shows in early kind of mid-January. So I may be tied up with that.
So you're talking next 2026?
But probably 2026, unless it cools off here quite a bit, or I can find a place where we can stay indoors most of the time.
but whatever,
Yeah.
just plenty of notice. And I'm totally retired. I sold all my cows and I'm going on vacation. So
That's not a bad plan
Yeah.
at all.
yep.
No kidding.
So, does anybody else have anything that they want to throw in?
I would like to say that this is a long time coming, Alex. Getting us all together, keeping us together. That's the important thing is that we keep together because you guys, whether you know it or not, are closer to me than my own family. You
Oh
guys
yeah.
mean more to me than anybody else in the world. And Pat Wood knows that. Bobby Long knows that. Mark
Yeah.
Umpovitz knows that. And Alex, you were always a champ in my book, brother. Always.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yep.
Amen.
I just want to take a moment to segue on that and thank all of you for showing up. I know that although you excelled in state police, Mother Nature and time has been hard on us all, and the time in state police has beaten us down a little bit. But I'm incredibly proud of everything that you all did and taught us that came after you. And truly, sincerely, I mean this. We say it all the time. We stand on the shoulders of giants. I've been so lucky that I get to visit with you guys because you are those giants whose shoulders we've been standing on all those years. And I thank you for taking the time out of your day to visit. And just so you know, in doing these podcasts, I don't have a huge audience or anything like that, but I've received a lot of private messages from other state cops that I haven't talked to in years, and even some APD guys have contacted me and said, "Please keep doing this. We love it. We love hearing from those guys and
Yeah.
listening to their stories." Additionally, I don't know if you've watched the one I did with my friend from here locally, Bobby. I think your nephew reached out to him
Yes.
and talked to him, and he was blown away by that. He was
Yeah.
so excited about that. He thought it was
Right.
awesome, and to see the number of people that it's reached and touched is fantastic. I started it selfishly because I wanted to talk to you guys and start this history and pass it off to the team guys, but it seems like it's grown into something more than that, and I'm happy about that. Really excited.
It's an
Well.
Honored
honor
to,
and a pleasure.
yeah.
So
Yep.
In closing, but before we close out, one thing I'd like to offer Alex, you and Mark, that
Yeah.
when we leave, we're always worried: do we leave it in good hands? And that's our agents, that's our family, and we did. We left with you guys,
Yeah.
and you took good care of it, and we appreciate that. We do.
Well, I kind of liken it to like, you know, when Chris, Pat, and I was in the early team, especially the transition from the old north south up to what we were going to when you guys got on the team. You know, it was basically, I liken it to, we were in a river, in the middle of a strong river, swimming up, and with not much equipment except what we got on our own, because the department just didn't have the funds. So we pushed up, and then when we turned it over to you guys took it on up into, you know, getting it to the necessary places to where just one notch below of what they have now, which is full time team, which, is what I strive for years.
Yep.
But you guys carried that baton, you know, around the corner to the finish line to get it there. And without your dedication, without your finesse, because I didn't have any of that. But,
You did, and your trigger finger, Bobby.
well, yeah. But they didn't like the way that came out. So uh, you guys carried it on and made that happen for what they got now. So definitely proud of you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely proud.
Proud to
But,
be in all your company.
well,
Honored.
Harumph.
Thank
So
you.
I love you.
just in closing, I am trying to consolidate all this. That's why I'm putting it on that channel into a history of sorts for the team. So if you come across any pictures, feel free to send them to me. There, I'll send you all a couple of ways that you can send them to me. I'd love to see those, anything that you have to share. And at some point, I'd like to put it all together, maybe into a book, and maybe we can pass it on to JT and Joe, and have them start giving that book to new guys that come on the team, or even a digital. I don't know if they
no
want to
kidding.
have something, a hard copy or anything like that.